Republicans are turning their attention to one of the party's signature issues, repealing and replacing the Affordable Care Act, also known as Obamacare. Fresh off the swearing in of Health and Human Services Secretary Tom Price, Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell said the GOP will be going it alone on the issue, at least in the early months. Speaking to reporters, McConnell stopped short of providing a timeline.
We passed a budget resolution that gives us the opportunity to repeal and begin the process of replacing Obamacare.
Is that to repeal and replace it by the end of this session of Congress?
On your first question, the timing, just as soon as we have the votes.
With more on the fight to repeal Obamacare, Robert Draper, writer-at-large for the New York Times Magazine, joins us to discuss his cover story, Will Obamacare Really Go Under the Knife? Robert, good morning.
Good morning.
It is a magnum opus of a story, an exhaustive one I recommended to everyone. The party at present seems to be in a state of sort of internal turmoil about what exactly to do here. Have Republicans become trapped by their promise to repeal the ACA?
Well, yeah, I mean, Alex, people forget that it didn't just happen organically that the Republican Party decided we are going to be unanimous in our desire to repeal Obamacare. That's what they spent the last 6.5 years doing, basically achieving a unanimity. That, as it turned out, was the easy part, right? They didn't want to have the argument of what precisely will we replace it with for fear that that would fragment this unanimous push to repeal. But now the hour is here. As Chuck Schumer has famously said, the dog has caught up with the bus, and exactly what it does with the bus remains to be seen.
Well, where does that stand at this point? I mean, what agreement, if any, is there within the Republican Party?
Well, chiefly there is a bill right now, Anthony, that Speaker Paul Ryan intends to introduce that's heavily reliant on tax credits, on health savings accounts. I think the critics of this plan would say that it is a plan that will benefit those people who already have money, but for the many poor and near poor who've benefited from Obamacare for all its warts, it remains to be seen whether it's really going to be that helpful for them. On top of which, it's unclear who's going to be paying for this, what the cost of the program itself will be. That's going to be an issue that will preoccupy the right, just as people on the left will be preoccupied who precisely will be coverage or stands to lose coverage as a result of this.
Robert, one of the notable aspects of this is the discrepancy between the words coming out of the White House and what's actually happening on the Hill. Can Republicans on the Hill expect cover from President Trump, depending on what they pass ultimately?
No, I don't think so. In fact, maybe the opposite. They're going to have additional pressure from President Trump, who, as we know, doesn't much care for bad headlines. And this is a minefield that really could generate some terrible headlines. I mean, the anecdote after anecdote of people who are being thrown off the rolls, of some kid with a pre-existing condition who has cancer or something, but who can no longer be covered under Speaker Ryan's plan. No, they're going to face pressure from the Trump White House, as in, why are we not covering these people? And then Congress will say, but I thought you had signed on to this plan. I thought you liked this plan.
Right.
Well, I thought that it was going to cover these people. And so, no, I do not see this being, to use the phrase, a well-oiled machine.
Does Democratic opposition matter at this point?
Yeah, it could, because they're, it's in the Senate at least, there's a two-person majority. I mean, I guess three when you consider that Vice President Pence can cast a tie-breaking vote. But that's not a big margin, so no, I mean, it would be helpful if they got a Joe Manchin or a couple of other Democrats on board.
And a replacement will require Democratic support.
Yeah, it is. It's going to, and I don't know that that's the case in Congress or in the House of Representatives, but in the upper chamber, definitely
in the Senate,
so.
for
Yeah.
sure.
Robert Draper, whose article, Will Obamacare Really Go Under the Knife? A cover story in the New York Times Magazine this weekend. Thanks, Robert.
My pleasure.